I'm Frans Peter Kyle, father of Barbara Jennifer Kastelein. I have no clue how I'm going to start on this long episode, nor do I have any idea how I'm going to finish this in front of the cameras. At least I'm going to give it a try. If occasionally I shift from looking to the right then to the left, it's because I've got two cameras set on me, and sometimes I wouldn't even know which one to look into. But I hope the sound actually works rather well. I hope my accent is not taking away from the contents of my story, but it's a story that's hurting me like hell. I'm highly concerned for or on the developments of my daughter Barbara Kastelein. Through my childhood years, I've been traveling around with my parents to various countries, and then again not to some countries just because of business circumstances. We didn't go to Indonesia in 1958. Instead, in 1960, we went to Paris in France. Then about 4 or 5 years later, moved back to the Netherlands for about half a year, only to move forward to Toronto, Canada, the English-speaking part of Canada. I'm still alive because someone saved my life. Virtually, practically, no bullshit about it. And I want to save the life of my daughter. Not her physical life, but her mental life. She got entangled into a marketing story. She got entangled into this marketing story. And the biggest lawyers could not restrain the chairman of this company hiring her to execute a well-conceived plan, well prepared ahead of time, and a story of which I had no idea what I got into myself. It's a story about a certain type of selling which people call ambush marketing. The Dutch even have a more violent term for it. It's called guerrilla marketing. But an ambush or a guerrilla style, you both can figure it out. It's rather heavy. The year is 2010. The day is the June 14th, when I last felt I had good contact with my daughter. Now mind you, for many years I didn't have good contact with any of my two kids, because many men, including myself, had to undergo the horrible feelings of being divorced from your kids. The fact that two mature people can't figure out love is one matter, but the fact that parents and children get entangled in divorce situations and not seeing each other for many years, then stories which become strange stories whereby the decision was taken that my two kids would change their family name from Kyle into Kastelein. But that's another story, part of this story actually. And if I'll be cutting out some segments on this soliloquy, it'll be because I'm either stuttering, or I shouldn't have been saying this or that. So I may jump in the final edition from one thing to the next with a rather strange effect between the scenes. It's just so that you understand there are parts that I will judge not to be extremely relevant to this story. Remember, I have no script written for this soliloquy. I have no preconceived idea what I'm going to say, nor how this is going to end. And I might even fall into repetition. The only thing I can tell you, I'm doing what I feel I should do. I'm not doing what others feel I should do, no. Others feel I should not do this. But me, 63 years old, I have to do what I'm doing. And it's nothing more than giving it all to the one child that doesn't want me to do what I'm doing. The CEO of a beer company called Bavaria, the CEO, Piers Winkles, some 40 odd years old, made the biggest mistake he could ever make to any woman, particularly to my daughter Barbara. His lawyers, the Bavaria lawyers, will have a hell of a time explaining this in court. It seems as if the lawyers of Bavaria could not restrain the CEO by doing something which literally kills the feelings within families. Consequently, regretfully, I'll have to say I've been calling this company for more than a year, maybe 2 years already, Bavaria, the family killer beer company from the Netherlands. Now why? I've got nothing against the people that work there. I've got nothing against the taste of their beer. It's just the behavior of the CEO himself, and then later the behavior of his patriarch father, family patriarch, Peter Swinkels, the former CEO of this family-held brewery called Bavaria. Peter Swinkels is now in euphoria. He lets himself be introduced on TV as being the under-king, the uncrowned king of the province of Brabant, as he is so influential and holds the most powerful positions people can imagine in this province. He's chairman of all the employees, no, all the employers' organizations in this province and even another one, the province of Zeeland. He's chairman of the PSV Philips football team. He's chairman of the local international airport of Eindhoven, The man is into everything. The man has an opinion about everything. The man is highly political. The man is highly effective, successful, ruthless, without a conscience. This man, Peter Swinkels, promised me, shook hands with me on December 19th, 2011, whilst he was bragging in front of a student congregation of international marketing students, and he used his presentation to these international marketing students to at the same time make it his New Year's speech on TV, as if he really was the Underking of Brabant. Disgusting as it may be, originally the man intended very positively to influence his company, of which his son now is the CEO, Bavaria. But when this man refused to go on until I would leave the hall or abide by the decision that he would talk to me for it turned out to be 7 minutes afterwards, he didn't want me to pose any questions during the TV interview. Well, I've recorded the whole interview. It was emissioned on January 1st, 2012. But on this recording day of December the 19th, he shook hands with me afterwards that he would mediate so that I would have a relationship restored with my daughter, Barbara. The next day, unbelievably, he phoned me up. He said he's withdrawing his intention proclaimed the day before. And then he started attacking me. Well, he attacked the wrong man. I'm the son of not of a preacher man, no, I'm the son of a Philips man. Philips, the electronic wizard company from this hometown, originally here, Eindhoven. The reason why my English is rather fluent, and my French is rather fluent, and my Dutch is not too bad either, because of Philips. And having traveled with my father and my mother to various countries to live there, later to be traveling many countries on my own. It's unbelievable that I asked this BZW chairman of all employers, employers, yes. I asked him for mental guidance, mental assistance, and the next day he refused. Turns out his son had signed an agreement with FIFA and after this ambush marketing act in South Africa on June 14th, 2010, 35 local women from South Africa were never heard of again. 2 Dutch women, one friend of the other, invited to come along, a dentist, Meerte van Nieuwpoort, and my daughter, Barbara Kastelein. I haven't spoken to my daughter since. She was forbidden to talk to anyone about details on things happening there. If she would ever reveal any details, she would have to pay back the bribery money that Bavaria paid her. And Bavaria would have to pay many millions in dollars or euros, whatever, in penalties to FIFA for having violently, blatantly, on purpose broken the marketing rules of FIFA. Marketing rules cordially set out in well-known contracts of exclusivity, one branch, one company. Budweiser beer, America's best-selling beer, paid many millions to advertise as the sole brewery. Just like McDonald's, just like Coca-Cola, just like Sony, just like the 8 or 10 FIFA partners and FIFA sponsors. I'm going to be adding details to this movie later, so let's not ignore the other company names like Adidas and others, because they're just as important as the Coca-Colas and the McDonald's. But anyway, the last few days should have terminated my 2.5 years of writing, combating, knocking on doors, virtual doors, by mail, by internet, to companies, newspapers, to be heard of from my story. To me, it looks obvious. Barbara and her friend Meerte must have been mighty scared in South Africa. The alternative for not signing an Omerta deal would have been up to 6 months in jail locally there in Johannesburg. To me it looks like Barbara has been afflicted exactly similar as Patricia Hearst in 1974 with the CLA or the SLA, whatever it was called. Barbara is inflicted with the Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome? Yes, a modern version of it. She's bound to silence. Consequently, it has been made impossible for her and her father, me, to be talking about important matters on this deal, particularly the mental aspects of the deal. Never ever should any organization let women sign an agreement under the threat of having to go to jail. Bavaria is highly guilty, should pay the price for breaking the FIFA marketing rules, well known to their lawyers. But the CEO of Bavaria could not be contained. He looks to me the perfect explanation of a non-murderous but a psychopathic narcissist with the effect of murdering families. Very similar to the effects of Lance Armstrong, but that's a different subject with almost exactly the same destructive, negative purpose, conscious behavior. Yes, my voice occasionally is rising behind or higher than a pitch, because I don't know how to alleviate my own plight. I'm highly concerned for my daughter, but in the process, of course, I've become highly frustrated myself. All friends, family members, psychologists, everybody says to me, drop the subject. Now, how can I drop the subject? I've got 2 kids. My contact with the other one is fantastic, it's good, it's great. And with her it's 0. But it was very good until that moment. We had reunited. Now the battery's getting low on one end. That's alright, we'll use the voice of the other microphone. I see the camera light flashing, battery low, but I'm not going to interrupt my story now. So yes, I participated in this carnival parade a couple of days ago with my ultimate try to expose this through a quiz, a crisis quiz. Somehow the organization used different rules for different participants. I didn't drink a drop. I didn't blow a joint, nothing, because in the rules it was stated to stay clear-headed. Many participants were drinking like hell. In the last couple of 100 meters, the whole organization crumbled, and all my microphone accessories got lost. I reported a stolen situation, but 2 days later the organization called me that they had recovered all my lost possessions. But the organization left me out completely, but luckily I had my own camera. So to this I will add my own camera shootings of the parade, my participation therein, and the visible interrogation by the newspaper journalist women, which again was not included in any of the open broadcasting, publishing, whatever. Luckily, I have part of it barely hearable on camera. Turn up the sound and you'll hear my proclamation on the question is if I wanted to salute someone. Yes, I wanted to salute my daughter, whom I hadn't seen for 2.5 years, because she was forbidden by Bavaria to talk to anyone about matters that happened in South Africa. And if she would have to pay back her bribery money by Bavaria, an amount far exceeding the original amount that they paid her, they wanted to pay her. Because yes, Bavaria did feel guilty for having infringed on the FIFA rules and having it made obvious that they misuse on purpose women to execute their highly egotistical wish to have their brand name known all across the world by doing a guerrilla marketing or ambush marketing stunt, led and originated by my daughter Barbara Castellijn. Marketing woman of the highest level. She she did it, she can do it, but she is forbidden by Bavaria to talk about it. She's forbidden by Bavaria to even talk to her father, who originally supported Bavaria and Barbara. And then I was given the cold shoulder. I was referred to in one email to go and see FIFA, and for the rest, Peer Swinkels did not budge. Many of my proclamations on Facebook about Bavaria being the family killer beer company from the Netherlands, I mailed copies to them because I'm no behind the back type of person. No, I'm a straightforward, I'm actually a rather straightforward person. Now, in this process of 2.5 years trying to fight for her well-being, and I've got very good reasons for being like that, I'm going to ask my viewers, you, to take sides. I'm going to go on. Now, I've officially asked Bavaria if they want to participate as first Dutch company in the Girl Power Foundation and use, and my suggestion is a contribution of 400,000 euros so that a plan can be implemented to save tormented girls in extreme situations where export is involved. I'm not talking about local activities where everybody knows the rules, but Bavaria is an unknown player in the international market. Yes, they've sold in quite a few countries, but they haven't got the know-how of all these big conglomerates, these big sponsors that FIFA has. Bavaria is a small-time player. Yeah? They have not the mental experience, they don't have the mental attitude to come up for all aspects involved in international marketing. They just used a bragging style of guerrilla marketing, and that be done by women. Yeah? Shame on you, and please intervene so that the mental health board in Holland can develop a great plan to rehabilitate women who are fairly heavily traumatized during export situations. We have situations like this in Holland before, where people get entangled in export things. Kidnappings, we've had all sorts of things happening to Dutch people in other countries. Just around that same time, a Dutch helicopter landed in Libya, and even then, the family members of these people were being helped by the Dutch army in overcoming the mental anguish that family members can suffer from. So yes, one of my mics fell out, but I hope the other mic still does it. I'm going to stop now anyway, and I'll add bits and pieces. I would have bought fresh flowers, but I had bought these fresh flowers last week to make the same recording, but with all the extra experiences now, these are the old flowers. My intention is to shave off this beard of about 2 months. I'm going to have to go on because I haven't succeeded yet in liberating my own daughter, who is rather ashamed that I even come out and come up for her rights. But even though she may hate me for it, it's only for you, Mr. Peter Swinkels and Mr. Peer Swinkles, it's only for you. If you only had adapted your behavior to more normal rules, the whole guerrilla marketing act would never have taken place at all. You don't seem to be containable by your own lawyers. So get a head on. Use your lawyers now to combat me with this movie. Because I'm going to distribute this to any professional movie producer and see if we can make a very detailed story on this. Americans are Budweiser drinkers. Divorced fathers, if you recognize any of the pain of not having good contact with your kids. Divorced women, perhaps you should be more lenient and clear to your ex-husbands on how to go about with the kids, which are also his kids. Let's not go too far and only proclaim the women to be right. Because in this whole process, it's become quite clear to my psychologist that I'm suffering from something that is not an inherited affliction, but something that is developed in my childhood years. And in this enormous amount of stress, he claims that I'm suffering from my narcissistic pain infliction. I get so mad occasionally against people because I'm tormented enormously. My friends and psychologists, my family members, they have all stopped contacting me in the last couple of years, half years, months and weeks and even days. I'm not going to be mad at you. I understand this has got too complicated for any of you. So I do value friendships, whereby friends like myself should behave properly, because otherwise it's not a period where I'm going to moan about having lost friends. No, I still have these people that wish upon me a lot of good, because I've been doing a lot of good unto them for many, many years. Yes, I'm somewhat rather unusual, but having been a little French boy, but having been a little Canadian, and having been a little Dutchman, I still feel like I'm a little human being doing what I should be doing, taking my responsibility towards my daughter. But if it would have been my son, I would have done the same thing. It's about a father trying to take care of the mental health future of his daughter. Now, an extra added value to this is that her grandmother, my first mother-in-law, excelled in this to interview people who had traumas coming back to life 30 years later, haunting them. Now remember, I started my story. My life was changed when I was about 18. My life was saved by my uncle Peter. Hence my name, Franz Peter, and always the Peter together. Because when I was 18, I was living in Canada and got very frustrated about the divorce of my parents. And as the Americans liberated the Europeans, and my father always heavily influenced me by repeatedly telling me these stories, To liberate my feelings, I enlisted into the American Army in Buffalo, New York. And my son and my daughter are living because this man having saved my life. Why did he do this? Well, he lost his son when he was about 20. Because of Indonesia, because of New Guinea, because of Robert Kennedy, the Dutch sent the army. They never shot one bullet, but his son, Hans Blake, died. Now this man, my own namesake, godfather if you wish, Piet Blake, he saved my life by telling me to come straight to Holland after he had heard that I had enlisted in the American Army. So yes, I've got a very particular life, full of emotions, full of well-intended people, and sometimes full of good intentions turn out rather unusual. I do one more final request, and now straight into the camera, to Peer Swinkels of Bavaria and to his father, Peter Swinkels, the former CEO of Bavaria, now chairman of BZW Employers and the PSV football team. Help my daughter to be able to talk freely as of today. Let her talk freely to anybody, any lover, friend or father, about details that happened in her life. Never ever have a woman threaten to be put in jail because you refuse to pay any penalties that you rightly would have to pay by having infringed on the rights of Budweiser for the exclusive attention-grabbing marketing rights. I'll say it in a friendly tone as well. Just do so, Peter Swinkels. Use your influence in the right way. Peer Swinkels, listen to your father. I'm the type of person that can shake hands and say, let's learn from this. We look forward to the National Health Board to develop a trauma recovery system for traumatized women. Because otherwise, my daughter and all these traumatized women will suffer from their afflictions even 30 years later. 30 years later, after my death, long after. Barbara, I love you.